All right, so if you've ever lived in Manhattan or worked in Manhattan, and if you're a health food store kind of person like me, where you're always looking for the best health food stores, you probably know about Westerly on 8th Avenue and 54th Street. It's definitely one of the best health food stores in the city. And so anyway, I was headed down there one day. I was actually doing a rehearsal in a theater on 78th Street and Broadway at the Drilling Company. Shout out to the Drilling Company. And I just had a short amount of time, and I wanted to go downtown and get some wheatgrass juice and get my coconut water. And so get on the 1 train, and I head down just a couple of stops to 59th Street. I get off of Columbus Circle, and I see this young woman with a stroller and her baby and like a billion bags of food trying to get up the steps. So I said, "Do you need some help?" She goes, "I'm good." And I was like, "Okay, you sure?" She said, "Did I just say I'm good?" I was like, "Yeah, you don't have to be rude." She goes, "Am I being rude?" I just said I'm good, like leave me alone. And I was like, okay. So then I see she's dropping stuff. She's carrying a baby, you know, she's got this gigantic stroller. It's like bigger than my car. And I'm like, I turned around, I said, "Are you positive?" Like, she goes, "I said I'm fine." So I was like, okay. So I walked away, walked up the steps, got out of the station, went down, you know, I walked the 3 blocks, got to Westerly, got my wheatgrass juice, got my coconut smoothie with my bananas and my ginger and my blueberries and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, Westerly has these little benches outside. So I was sitting out on the bench, finishing my coconut thing, and who do I see walking towards the store but this woman with her stroller and her baby and all her bags. And she sees me sitting, and she just kind of looks at me. And I looked at her and I didn't say anything, and she just kept looking at me, and then she walked by, she walked into Westerly. So just as I was about to finish my coconut thing, she came back out of the store. She said, "Hey." And I didn't even answer her because she was behind me. So she goes, "Yo." And so I turned around. I was like, "You talking to me?" She goes, "Yeah, I'm talking to you." I said, "Well, what?" And you know, I thought she was gonna, like, I don't know, come at me with some crazy, like I was being a creep or something like that. And she said, "Look, I'm sorry." I said, "You don't have to apologize, it's fine." She goes, "No, I was rude, I'm sorry. I just, you know, I like to be able to do this on my own. I'm raising this kid by myself. I just, you know, I got to figure it out on my own. And I just, you know, plus I don't know who to trust. And so obviously you seem like somebody who's trustworthy." I said, "Why do you think I'm somebody who's trustworthy now?" She just looked at me. I said, "I'm kidding." So she sat down next to me. And we wound up sitting there for like 2.5 hours. She told me her life story. Like, this woman, she had been through a lot, you know. So we just talked and we laughed, and turned out that she was a singer. You know, she was an aspiring recording artist, and she was really interested in my work, and she had lived on the Upper West Side for many years, so we had a lot in common. We knew a lot of the same stores and stuff like that. So it was kind of nice, you know. So then afterwards she said, "Can I get your phone number?" And I'm like, "Oh, you want my phone number?" I said, "All right, let's exchange numbers." She goes, "No, I don't want to give you my number. I just want your number." I said, "Oh, so you could have my number, but I can't have your number." And she goes, "Very funny. Just, can I get your number or not?" I said, "Okay." So I gave her the number. She goes, "Look, I have a boyfriend, but he, like, very jealous, and, you know, not that I'm coming on to you or anything like that, but I just, you know, I feel weird, like, okay, you can have my number, but just don't ever call it, just for emergencies." I said, "For emergencies?" I said, "If it's an emergency, it sounds like you should be calling me." She goes, "Why do you say that?" I said, "Well, you're with a jealous boyfriend, so what is that supposed to mean?" I don't know what it means. I don't know. I'm sorry. She goes, no, you're right. He kind of beats my ass sometimes. And I'm like, he beats your ass sometimes? She goes, look, I'm trying to get out of it. We've been together for like 7 years. I said, is he the father? She goes, no. I said, oh, so you're afraid of him? And you're living with your child with him? She's like, it's none of your business. And I was like, okay. So anyway, we exchanged numbers. I gave him my card, and that was that. Never heard from her. I never called. That was for sure. I wasn't going to call her. But about a year later, I would say it was a good year, I was doing a show at the 54th Street Theater. The play that I was rehearsing that day was running off Broadway. And who's waiting for me after the show? That woman with her boyfriend. And so as I'm walking up, I was like, yo, and I walked over to say hello, and she goes, yo, it is my cousin I was telling you about. And she was telling her boyfriend that I was her cousin that she was telling him about. And she's looking at me like this, you know, my cousin. And I was like, oh yeah, what's up, cuz? She's like, yeah, I just, I've been following you on social media and stuff, and just wanted to, I know we haven't seen each other in a long time. The family's kind of split up and everything, and I've told him all the stories. So, and he was like, yo, man, that show was deep, yo. Like, yeah. And he was looking at me kind of funny. And he actually said to me, so how long you two been cousins? I was like, how long we been cousins? Well, since we've been born. He just looked at me, and she looked at me, and so she goes, anyway, we gotta go. Just want to say hello. It was a beautiful show. I cried like 17 times. He was like, I have to admit, I kind of cried too. And she gave me a hug. It felt like it was like 45 minutes. And they left. And that's the last time I ever heard from her, or that was it. So I kind of think about her every once in a while, and I hope everything worked out, and I hope that that was not the boyfriend who beats her ass, and I hope her child is okay. And I want to shout out all the women who raise their kids by themselves sometimes, or have to get around with kids with these big strollers, and especially in New York City, have to get up and down the trains, the steps, and so often the elevators don't work, and they don't know who to trust, so they want to ask for help, or people offer to help them but they can't say yes, or they ask for help and people don't help them, or I think it's a really, really difficult existence. And so I'm going to end this story by saying that a few years ago, when they fixed the 2nd Avenue subway and they extended it from Lexington Avenue and like 59th Street, I think it is, all the way up to 96th Street, up 2nd Avenue, there was at the 72nd Street station, there's a bunch of murals, and it's really beautiful. I mean, it's like a little museum for urban art. And what I love is that they created a bunch of murals that were like truly trying to be like a real representation of real New York, and so there were gay couples, and it was people of color, and it was just really, really, really beautiful. And one of the murals, and the one that I think was my favorite, and the one that really moved me, and first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that's her. It was a mural of a beautiful woman, and this woman was beautiful. I mean, yeah, she was physically beautiful, but she was beautiful. Her spirit, her aura, everything about her energy was just very powerful and very beautiful. She was beautiful too physically, but she was a beautiful spirit. This mural was a very beautiful, strong, powerful woman with a gigantic stroller on her back, carrying her baby. This, look on her face of defiance, like nothing could stop me. I'm going to accomplish everything, and I'm going to raise this child, and I'm happy, and I'm good. And I just, I have so much respect for the women who have to endure that and have to go through that. And actually, I have a good friend who's a man who had to raise his daughter by himself in a very similar kind of way. Bass player who used to play in my band, my friend Gene Torres, who raised his daughter. We used to do shows at like mental facilities and prisons and homeless shelters and psychiatric centers and things like that. And he brought little Regina to all these shows. And she grew up to be an amazing person, like an amazing human being. And so I always tell him he did good, man. He raised somebody who's really contributing to society, he raised a good person that we need. And so I don't want to just say to the women, but sadly, more often than not, it does wind up being a woman who has to, you know, get through each day like that. And you know, most of the women that I know, and I know many who have had to live like that, they do get through it, and they do an amazing job, and they make an amazing sacrifice, and they're so powerful, and I can never do that. So to all of you, I salute you, and my heart is yours. And yeah, I think about the girl at the train station a lot, and I'm always hoping she's okay and is living a good, productive, happy, joyful life, and I hope her kid's okay, and all of that. So thanks so much for watching. This was Stories in 4K. I think this is number 7, and onward we go. And I'll see you in the next one. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Peace. I almost forgot. I wanted to add that, believe it or not, I am using a Tamron 17-70 zoom lens, and I am not the zoom guy. I am the filmmaker who uses only prime lenses 99% of the time. However, I did a gig recently for a friend of mine, and I was in a situation where I have to admit a couple of times I was like, damn, I kind of wish I had a lens that was a little bit more flexible for this situation, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the space was like. I didn't know what was going to happen. And so I got this lens to be more prepared for situations like that. And actually, it's an amazing lens, and I do enjoy it. And I think that all the work that I've done with primes over the last couple of years educated me in a way to use this lens to its maximum potential, to really use it well, instead of just zooming back and forth. And like, I'm really still using it with intention. You know, like I'm shooting this at 23 millimeters because that's what I thought was most appropriate for this. I'm shooting at f2.8. And so I'm still always thinking about, why am I choosing a certain focal length? So that's what I'm using here, the Tamron 17-70 f2.8, shooting on my Sony a6400, of course. And I'm out here in Poughkeepsie again by the pedestrian bridge right there behind me. And that's it. So almost forgot about the tech stuff. I want to keep this consistent. So onward we go. Peace.